Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. My name is Colm and I recently had the chance to play a few hours of Turtle Rock Studios' upcoming co-op zombie FPS, Back 4 Blood. I wasn't alone though. Alice, Ed and Katharine from the RPS treehouse joined me in fighting off the horde. We were mostly successful.
Oh, there's some birds, careful. They're like right here. They're right here. They're on the train tracks.
Okay.
Ping them, or use the ping system. Oh, there we go, it's just highlighted.
I'm calling assault rifle, maybe I shall...
Whoops. We're all coming at this from different angles, so we're going to do something a little different with this video. I'm going to chat to each of them individually to get their unique perspective on the game. I can see the first person I'm going to talk to and our Left 4 Dead aficionado Alice coming in now from the green room, so let's not waste any more time and get into our Back 4 Blood impressions. So Alice, you are the Left 4 Dead aficionado.
Oh.
This is from 2-ish hours of the game, but how does it compare?
It was like I regressed 10 years in a single instant because it took me back to playing Left 4 Dead at 4 a.m. in my teenage bedroom. It is very good. It's very similar in terms of, you get from point A to point B, and points A and B are both safe houses and you have to get in, you shut the door. The zombie types, the special zombie types, do have some similarities. They maybe combine some traits as well. So I was shouting like boomer, but in this the boomers spit quite long distances. But there's also a guy with like a big one arm that's kind of like a charger from Left 4 Dead 2. I was calling him an ent because I thought he looked like a big tree. But the zombie types are actually really fun, and because they combine a couple of traits, it's kind of sometimes harder to deal with them on the fly. So there's one that's sort of like a combination spitter and hunter, so it's really kind of threw me for a loop. But you do also get in like quite a good routine, like playing with a group of people who'd never played Left 4 Dead. It very quickly worked out that you don't step in the vomit and you don't shoot the boomer when you're up close to it, kind of thing. That was really fun. I would say the levels that we saw as well, really good. I found them to be a bit more complex than some of the classic Left 4 Dead levels. There were a lot of sort of differing paths, some atmospheric lighting as well. There was one later mission that we did that was full of fog that would sort of blow in and then recede again, so it made shooting very difficult. I would say probably our biggest obstacle that we faced was friendly fire, because we kept shooting each other quite a lot.
Correct, yes. Are you riding a wave of nostalgia, do you think? Or
it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, I would say that it's better than Left 4 Dead. Like I said, I think the mission's really good. The map sort of types. Also, it's got some cool additions like the cards they've got now, which give you passive buffs to defense or stamina. Maybe it will give you 5 more health. Maybe it will give you 10% more stamina, or it will give you more ammo, that kind of stuff, and you can stack them. You can pick one at the end of every round, basically, that you complete successfully. So that's kind of cool. It really sort of changes it up, because by the end my character had just so much health.
So that wasn't in Left 4 Dead at all, that kind of buff card?
No, and they're also, the characters have different abilities as well, which is really cool. Like the one that I was playing was called, I think, Holly, and she starts with like this really hench like baseball bat with nails in, and also has higher stamina. But also having her on your team gives everyone a boost to stamina as well, which is cool. And I think you were playing a character called Mom, who gets 1 free revive of a dead player each level, and others might have an extra ammo slot, that kind of thing. So depending on your combination of characters, you could have quite a different round. And then throughout the game you can find places where you can buy a random basic card, and that gives you a buff kind of in the middle going forward of a level. So there's sort of a lot of extra complexity there, but it hasn't sacrificed, I don't think, the essential Left 4 Deadness,
which is just being swarmed by zombies and trying to kill them with your friends.
Yes, but also it's got the slightly randomized elements each level. So there's one where we're creeping through a car tunnel and it was dark, And the first time we did it, I got by a type of zombie it was sort of like stuck on the wall, and then a torso will launch at you. So it's sort of like a hunter, sort of like a jockey from Left 4 Dead. And there were a couple of them in the tunnel, and then we did it again and there were none. And then it also had these fabulous set pieces, sort of like in the original Left 4 Dead. And in this, there was one where we had to fight our way through a boat. Got to the other side, and this other group of survivors were like, you have to go back on the boat, set some timers and explode it. And then we had like a minute left after setting the explosives to get out, and only you made it. And it was quite good because it was one of those go on without us Colm kind of moment.
It was a very stressful time, I won't lie.
So it was really, really fun playing the PvE. I really enjoyed it.
I can see Ed getting a bit antsy there, waiting in the wings. So thank you very much for your time, Alice. On to Ed. So Ed, you are Mr. Shooter, Mr. Online Shooter. Sadly, you didn't get to play competitive. I'm going to talk to Katharine about that in a minute. But in terms of the guns and the weapons that are available to you in Back 4 Blood, what did you think?
I thought these guns were excellent. I think in Left 4 Dead, for me, in that game, they felt a bit light. You know, they sounded good, but kind of they didn't feel heavy. Whereas in Back 4 Blood, they feel really chunky. When you shoot, there's some good shaking, there's some good noises. Even like the reload animations, there's some good clicking noises. There's some good, snapping of the magazine into the gun. Sort of every movement is, I don't know, I was going to say meaningful. It just feels really great. In a game where the primary goal is to shoot zombies, I think it's important, and it does it really well. I think also the selection of guns is good.
It's ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a really wide range. And again, I think that's another thing I quite like is, I know Left 4 Dead there's maybe not quite as many. You kind of get to know the arsenal quite quickly. Whereas in this, we were sort of constantly being surprised by what we were finding. There's multiple weapon rarities, which is quite interesting. So you've kind of got your commons and your rares and stuff, which kind of increase damage and reload speeds and things like that. But I found it was quite interesting that you could kind of attach sights and things to your guns to sort of improve them. You've got shotguns, rifles, you've got snipers, pistols, a lot of different things, and they all felt great. The shotguns in particular, sort of tried a number of them all out, and yeah, the shotguns are really meaty. You sort of chew through zombie flesh with shots, and legs fly off, and blood is literally just going everywhere.
But it wasn't just the weapons that you hold in your hands. I know you took a fancy to a few things in the environment as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Back 4 Blood has a good sort of love for propane tanks. They sort of litter them. They sort of litter them around the maps. I just couldn't get enough of them. You can kind of pick them up. And you can sort of run around with them, and you can chuck them on the floor and then shoot them, and it just causes a big explosion. I was absolutely addicted to that, actually. Every time I think I spotted one, like a sort of a white cylinder, I was like, oh wow, propane tank, guys.
I think we were all grateful. I think everyone can appreciate a good propane tank. So you compared and contrasted the weapons in Back 4 Blood to Left 4 Dead, but do you think this game shares any similarities with more modern shooters?
If I would compare it to one thing, maybe something like Halo. I always think sort of the gun feel in Halo is meaty and impactful. Again, thinking about the shotguns, I always sort of think back to the Halo shotguns and sort of how beefy that sounds and feels, and just the way you kind of reload it too. So yeah, I'd say maybe that's its closest counterpart, at least for me anyway.
So looking forward to playing more?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was like really taken aback about how much I enjoyed it, because I sort of thought maybe I was done with the Left 4 Dead sort of zombie shooter with mates kind of genre, but no, I'm 100% in on this one.
Thanks very much for giving us your shooter perspective, Ed. But I think it's about time we brought on Katharine to give us an insight into the PvP of Back 4 Blood. So, Katharine, you're the only one of this party that played Back 4 Blood that got a bit of time with the PvP. How did that stack up for you?
I didn't like it as much as the campaign. I think it was probably because I was playing with complete strangers. I think it would be a lot better if you were playing with friends, because I think, as I'll probably talk about in a minute, you could definitely have a lot of fun with it when you're playing with people you know. It's a 4v4 mode where one team plays as a squad of human cleaners, while the other 4 play as different types of ridden zombies. So it's a little bit like Turtle Rock's kind of last big multiplayer PC game, Evolve. If anyone remembers that game.
I do. I was one of the people who actually played it, yeah.
Only here, you're not playing as one big monster, you're playing as 4 regular-sized zombies. So there are traces of Evolved in there, but yeah, this is kind of like a more traditional 4v4 type mode. So on the human side, you can choose your character a bit like you do in the campaign, but then you're given a choice of sort of 4 different decks of cards, which are effectively like the different class types. You've got your medic, your operator, your soldier, and your team leader. And all of those cards kind of give you different buffs, different items and effects and stuff like that, which kind of means you can pretty much pick anyone you like. You're not confined to a particular character to play as a certain type of class.
Right.
Which is, I quite like that kind of flexibility that it gives you. There weren't really such defined roles in the campaign. So this kind of gives you a bit more of an opportunity to kind of play to your strengths, like, if you prefer playing one way in different types of games. So when you get into a game, the humans have probably about a minute, I reckon, to like scavenge this sort of small arena area for tools and weapons and find as many items as you can to kind of stave off kind of waves of zombies that you'll be facing. And then from that point on, it's pretty much a matter of fighting for as long as you can really hold out against the other team, who are all playing as named zombie characters. You've got your spitty stingers, your exploding reekers, your big explodey boys, your big tall boys with the big glowing red arms, or you can play as a regular common zombie. So yeah, they're kind of doing their best to take your team out. Now, my team was very disorganised. I think we maybe lasted 2.5 minutes in our first round before we all got biffed. Perhaps the other people were communicating in their own private Discord channel, but there was no voice chat when I was playing with them, so it was quite difficult to kind of get a strategy going. I say this because when it was our turn to be the zombies, the other team definitely had an agenda. Like, they instantly went into like a small building, and just kind of camped out there, which made it quite difficult for like us to really make any headway against them without kind of getting shot to pieces, as soon as we went through the door. When we were the humans, we were just kind of running about all over the place. We didn't really have a strategy. The zombie team, it has like an upgrade system called mutation points that you can use to make your zombie more powerful. You can, and these points you sort of pick up throughout the game. You can increase your defense, your attack power, and your utility, which basically is kind of increasing your movement speed while attacking. You're not penalised so much on your movement when you're attacking. There is kind of a little bit of flexibility there, but I found that even those upgrades didn't really make a huge amount of difference. Trying to get to a bunch of players that were kind of like, in a kind of tight hiding spot. Because you can respawn as many times as you like when you're playing a zombie, but you can't spawn kind of too close to the human players, and you also have to spawn kind of out of sight. It can make it difficult to kind of get the jump on them if, depending on where they are. If they're all kind of holed up in a little building, with lots of windows, they can just kind of basically shoot you from any angle.
Is it equally as fun being the humans as it is the zombies? Because, like, I don't know, being a zombie just is pure destruction. Did it seem like there was a balance there, or did it seem, again, from a very, very short period of time playing it, did it seem like people would always want to be the zombie group or the human group?
I definitely found the zombies harder to control than the human players, because they sort of takes you out into kind of like a third person camera, so you're sort of like looking at these kind of hulking great things kind of over the shoulder a little bit. I think once you've got the hang of certain zombies, because they all move in quite different ways, that they attack in different kind of patterns and stuff, and I think once you've got the hang of some of them, I think within the 4 main families there are sort of 3 different types of zombies within those families.
All right.
There's quite a lot of variety to choose from, I think, and more so than the human characters. And I think if you got used to a certain zombie, I think you could definitely have a lot of fun with it. But as I say, I do think it kind of depends on, at least in the maps that we played, there were kind of too many hiding places for the humans to kind of really make it very fun to play as a zombie.
Right.
I don't think it really reflected the kind of fights that you had in the campaign, because a lot of those kind of big horde moments, they're all out in the open. Like, there aren't really actually that many places to hide, at least sort of from what we played in the campaign. So it sort of felt a little bit unbalanced in that respect. Like, it would be better, I think, if the versus arenas were a bit more open and didn't have as many kind of hidey holes for the human characters to kind of just hunker down in a little bit.
Yeah.
But as I say, I only saw kind of two arenas, and I'm not entirely sure how many there are, or how many there will be in total.
Did you see potential in it if there were more open arenas or kind of a fairer battleground for the zombies?
Potentially, it's a best of 3 rounds. And I think maybe doing 3 different maps, it might get a little bit repetitive because it kind of depends how long your team can hold out for and how good the other team are. Like we sort of lasted, as I say, sort of 2.5 minutes in our first round as humans. And then, kind of got completely whipped by the other team. they lasted a lot longer. And if you're doing that basically kind of 6 times in total, I'm not sure that there's enough variety to kind of hold people's interests, perhaps as long as the campaign. I found the campaign definitely a lot more engaging.
Thank you very much for chatting with me today, Catherine, and of course Ed and Alice. If you, dear viewer, have a hankering for more Back 4 Blood content, then just check out all of the lovely articles we have on the website. Thank you very much for watching, you absolute star. But if you take one thing away from this video, take this. For all of your PC gaming needs, keep it on rockpapershotgun.com.